Yes, we're going to start at the beginning today. So we're going to start with chapter 1. Okay, we're going to do chapters 1 and 2 combined for our first test. Okay, and they're both on the same thing, and it's a unit that I kind of enjoy. Financial math. All right, financial math. It's not so much consumer math. We don't really look at a few different things with consumer mathematics. You learn about how interest works. We're going to look at simple and compound interest. We're going to look at credit cards, and we'll look at mortgages and some investment things. Very briefly. If you take financial literacy now, financial literacy 30 next year, or personal finance 30. That's what they call it now. We go through it in more detail, and we talk about different avenues and where to go and like how to do it yourself and how to pay someone to do it. Typically, I've done it in person I've done it every other year for 2 times now. So. Oh yeah, you're only going to be here. Yeah, we usually do it over the whole year. But I don't know, the new principal, new timetable setup, who knows? So maybe we'll do it in 1 semester or not. It is a worthwhile course for everyone to take, though. Whether it's with me, DLC, or whatever. Oh, maybe it is. I think they've closed it. I'm not sure what happened. Because Mr. McLaughlin's left, and it was kind of his baby, so I don't know. So what's going on there? Okay, so what we're going to start with today is we're going to look at 1.1, and this is just simple. Simple interest. So let's go over a few terms or definitions. Here's some financial jargon for you guys to start off with. First one is term. Does anyone know if I said the term of a loan? Do you guys know what a term is? Yeah, the length of time. Good. For a loan or investment. Yeah. Run down to the library with your textbook and grab another one for Foundations 30. Still period 1, first thing in the morning. Find him. He'll have your time. He's just in the broadcast room right now. Okay. So yeah, the term could be for either a loan or investment. Yeah, and like a mortgage, you could get a 25-year term or a 20-year term. 30, I think 25 is now the max again. They were going 30, 40. Car loan typically 5 to 6 years. Although some dealerships now are offering 7 to 10 years. And the interest rate. Because mortgages are so big, the interest rate tends to be less. So like a car loan would be at 5% interest, a mortgage would be at like 3, well right now probably 2% interest. Okay. So good questions. Yeah, these are things you need to kind of figure out. Okay. So with that leads into our next one. Interest. Interest is just the amount of money either paid on an investment or the amount of money you pay on a loan. Okay? Oh, that's paid. Okay? And interest is usually shown as a percentage. Okay? Like when Jaden asked about a car loan or a mortgage, mortgages, you have lower interest rates, would be like 3% interest, where a car loan would be at 5 or 6% interest. A little bit, yeah. We just kind of skim it here. Okay? Whereas in personal finance, we would like shop around for credit cards and look at different mortgage rates and all that. And like what are different payment types you can make and everything. So, another great example, credit cards. They have roughly about anywhere from a 19 to 21% interest rate on them. So you can pay a lot of debt towards a credit card. Okay? So the next one then would be principal. So principal is the original amount either that you've borrowed or invested. Invested or so you can either invest it for savings or you can borrow it for a loan. And that's what you compare, like if you're investing money and if your principal was so much, you want to make sure that amount is growing. Whereas if you're borrowing money, you want to compare to see how much you're paying off to the principal. So like if you take out a mortgage, let's say your principal amount borrowed was $250,000, which is on the low end of today's mortgages. You would compare, like, let's say after 5 years, your principal, what you owe, is only $180,000. Okay. This kind of making sense? All right. Okay. So what we're going to look at today is simple interest. Yeah, first two chapters are all financial. Like I told these guys before, we just kind of skim it a little bit. Whereas if you take personal finance next year, we delve into this quite a bit more. So with simple interest, what this is just interest for savings or a loan. That is only applied to the principal amount. So for example, let's say I invest $5,000 into something with simple interest. the interest is only applied to that $5,000 every year. All right, so let's say it sits there for 10 years and is now worth $6,000. I'm only making interest on the original 5,000, not whatever else is sitting there now. Okay, that's another type of interest that we'll get into later, maybe by the end of the week. Okay, that's compound interest. Okay, so simple interest, if you're saving for something with simple interest, you're not going to get very far with it. But if you're paying off debt with simple interest, it helps you a lot. Because things like credit cards, let's say you owe $1,000, whatever interest you pay, they charge interest on that. That's not just to the original amount. You can. One of the biggest deciding factors for people leaving post-secondary education is debt. They crawl into too much debt and they can't afford it, especially like credit card debt. Yeah, it is very easy to rack up debt. It can take an incredibly long time to pay it back. You have to be very careful with it, yes. Money is a very powerful tool. If you're careful with it, it can do a lot of good things for you. But if you're frivolous with it, it can get you into a lot of trouble fast. Because it's very easy to take your credit card and just go beep, 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 beep. Or even just on Amazon, buy. Like it's getting easier and easier to buy stuff. Right? Yeah. And it doesn't take long. You put a few things in a shopping cart to add up quickly. So you got to be careful. Okay. So let's look at the formula for simple interest. Okay. A equals PRNT RT. T. This is a plus, and that's a T. Very good. P is the principal. This isn't your like ratio, no. Yeah. Okay, R is your interest rate. Okay, and it's always as a percent or as a decimal. So you need to know how to go from a percentage to a decimal, okay? Anyone want to take a guess at what time is? Yeah, your T, your term. T is your term. And A equals your future amount. Okay, any questions about any of this? Now, another way to write this formula out is see how there's two P's here? You can write it like this. You can take a kind of like a P out of everything, and then you're just left with 1 plus RT. Either one is fine. I think people start off being more comfortable with this one because they get it a little more. But this one here gets quicker over time. There's less punching into your calculator. mute the whole time. But that's what we're working on.